everyone. Welcome to the Arcade and Arcade Chronicles podcast, where I'll be covering all things coin-op, arcade, and pinball. From the retro classics that we all love to the modern moneymakers and everything in between. I'm your host, COE33, but my friends that call me Co. I'd like to thank you for joining me today on the inaugural episode of Arcade Chronicles. In addition to arcade news and top 5 lists and viewer questions, I'll also be chronicling my own personal journey with opening a video arcade in my small hometown and sharing that process with you every step of the way. I'm filming right now from my arcade in my garage at my home. This is ground zero for what will become the Quarter Drop Arcade in 2 years' time. And this podcast will serve as a tool for me to share that journey with you, and I'm very excited about it. So I hope you're looking forward to this new podcast, and I think we should just get right into it with a little bit of breaking news. The big story in the world of arcade, and in particular pinball, of course, has been the new Cornerstone release from Stern. I'm talking about Jaws Pinball, the new Keith Elwin designed pinball machine. This has been rumored for many years and finally got official launch. Now, there were some leaks right off the bat, and everyone in the pinball and arcade ecosphere has been commenting on this, and I've of course been following it very closely because for me this is a dream theme of a pinball machine. Now, I love pinball. I play pinball just about every day. I'm sitting in front of my Godzilla Premium right now, and I've been having my fingers crossed, hoping that this Jaws machine was going to be everything I could hope for in a pinball machine. And so why don't we just get right into it? Okay, there was the initial release and the leak. As I said, there was a video that came out of the LE. That's the top tier, the $13,000 pinball machine from Stern. It was kind of a grainy video on potato cam, and I would say the hype level went down quite a bit after most people got to see that. I don't think that was a good representation of the overall package that Stern has put out, and I'm certainly probably pretty confident that they were not happy with that leaking out there, unless of course that was something that they leaked internally. I guess we will never know. But then finally we got some more information from Stern, and they released higher quality images and videos, and we got to see what the Pro, the Premium, and the LE look like in their entirety. And I will say that I was very pleased to find out that I was going to be able to save myself about $3,000 because I was planning on buying a Jaws Premium, and then I saw that artwork, and I gotta say, my least favorite artwork package by a long shot is on the Premium with this particular layout. You have almost a first-person perspective, kind of cartoonish back glass, and I just wasn't feeling it versus the Pro and the LE, which have that iconic Jaws imagery that we all come to know and love. For me, Jaws is one of the great movies of all time. Steven Spielberg's second movie after Duel, which was made for TV, and then he came in hot and created what is known as the summer blockbuster from then on, and it's in my top 10 movie list of all time. So, and I love pinball, so this was a no-brainer for me. And I saw that Pro, it had that iconic movie poster on it, and it didn't have the upper playfield. I'm not a big fan of upper playfields. They generally slow down the play for me, the gameplay, the flow, and so that's not a necessary thing. Now, on the Premium versus the Pro and on the LE versus the Pro, you get a little mechanical toy of a speedboat, and it's a bash toy. You hit that speedboat, it opens up, and Jaws pops out of the playfield. And that is very cool, but I will say the speedboat toy itself is not very impressive to me. It looks out of place. It's not something that was from the movie Jaws. And the little bash toy, the little tiny Jaws that comes out of the playfield, is a little rinky-dink. So I went with the Pro. I did order one. I have a Pro on pre-order. I ordered it from my distributor of choice, Flippin' Out Pinball, and I can't wait to get it. I'll be streaming it on Twitch at COE33, so hopefully I'll get mine soon. You don't have that bash toy, but what you do have instead on the Pro is you have a model, a static model of a shark, which I actually think looks better than the little bash toy that you have on the Pro and the Premium and the LE, excuse me. And it's busting out of a plastic cage. I think when the modding community gets on this, they're going to go ahead and improve that shark cage, something probably 3D printed or even maybe made out of metal. I will definitely be upgrading my Pro with some mods over time. I imagine someone will come up with a Orca ship that can go in that top left corner of the playfield as well. So I think the Pro is the way to go. What about you guys? Is this a machine that you were interested in? Are you still interested in it after you saw the release and the news? And if so, which model, the Pro, the Premium, or the LE, are you planning on getting or have already pre-ordered? Now, the Elwin gameplay video came out, and this was interesting because I was most hyped to see this. Now, Keith Elwin, probably the GOAT, the greatest pinball player of all time, and one of my favorite pinball designers, he came out with Stern and did the gameplay video. And a lot of people are commenting, oh, it was so low energy, it was putting me to sleep, you only played one ball. I really enjoyed the video personally. I will say Keith Elwin is not a high energy individual. If you've ever seen him play pinball, he's very zen, he's very calm, and I think that's just his demeanor. Well, you know, would I like to see some gameplay with a little more energy? Of course. Would I like to see more than one ball? Yes. And I imagine by the time this podcast release, we'll have already seen that, and there's going to be plenty of gameplay out there. I know it's on the floor at CES right now. People are playing Jaws, so I think tonight when I fire up YouTube, there's going to be some gameplay videos, and I can't wait to watch those. So my overall thoughts on the theme, the gameplay, the video, the sound package, I think this is going to be a solid pinball machine, an A for sure. I don't think it's going to be a Godzilla killer like a lot of people were speculating. The code seems to need a little work. There's some repetitive clips within on the LCD screen. The sound package needs a little more variety. I think the classic John Williams Jaws theme, as much as I love it and it has to be there, I want a little more variety. I don't want to listen to that constantly. That's going to get old real quick. And the call outs from Richard Dreyfuss seemed a little bland. I hope that within the game, the energy level is increased a little from what I've heard. But of course, as you know, as I've already mentioned, I have on a pre-order. So obviously this is a hit for me and I can't wait to get it. Jaws Pinball, the best kept not secret in the arcade and pinball world. And yeah, I'll be sure to share when I get it in. I'll be sure to share that with you on my various social medias and stream it on Twitch. All right, let's stick with the water theme and pinball, and let's do the top 5 water-themed pinball machines. And oh boy, there's a bunch of them. Okay, so I have a V-Pin upstairs. I went up there and I actually spent a couple hours playing pinball, going through the thousands of tables that I have and picking out what I consider to be the best water-themed pinball tables. Now, this is not the right list. This is just my list, so yours will certainly be different. And if it is, I'd love to hear it. So let me know what your top 5 water-themed pinball tables are. I would love to hear it. So let's get started with number 5, Bally Gilligan's Island 1991. A very fun table, especially if you like the theme. I grew up watching Gilligan's Island, and it's got that iconic theme song that's always playing, and it's got this mech. It's a rotating island. It's on the top left of the playfield, and the entire island mech rotates on like a turntable, and it diverts the shot in different directions. It's super cool, a lot of innovation there, and just a fun, casual pinball table to play, and that's why it made my top 5 list at number 5. Moving on to number 4, guys, and this is one of the most beautiful art packages in all of pinball. I'm talking about the one and only 1981 Fathom by Bally. Art package by Greg Freris, and the backlats, the playfield, top tier, S tier artwork on this one, especially if you gave it some maybe a little LED treatment. Go cool white, cool blue LEDs on this one. It really makes it pop. It's got those speech callouts that you come to expect from the early 80s games. I love them. Super nostalgic for all those synthesized speech callouts. Drop targets galore. It's got a satisfying spinner rip. What more could you ask for from an early 80s Bally game than this? I would love to have a Fathom in the collection. You can get a new one from Haggis, and they're making them still. That would be a great collector's piece to have in the collection for sure. Moving on to number 3, one of my personal favorites, one that I play on location quite a bit. Every time I see it, I throw some quarters in this, and that's Black Rose. This is a Bally System 11. Brian Eddy and team worked on this. It's got that pirate ship theme, which is one of my favorite themes in pinball. I love anything pirate themed. It's got one of the great mechs of all time. It's that cannon. You know, you load up the cannon, you shoot it down the broadside, you take down the ship. Super satisfying. It's got that whirlpool ramp that has no edges, so like you can fall off the ramp if you don't get the velocity just right. I love that. And it's got video modes that are actually fun to play. I like them quite a bit. I know some people aren't a fan of video modes, but the ones on Black Rose are a lot of fun, and that's why I had to come in at number 3. Moving on to number 2, this is a classic, guys. Williams 90s. We're talking fishtails here. This had to be on the list. Mark Ritchie design, concept by Python, of course. It's got that figure 8 shot where you shoot it to the right and it flips down to your left flipper, and you shoot it to the left and it flips down to your right flipper. Super cool. I love it. It's got that country jamboree music going in the back, which is a lot of fun. It's campy. It's lighthearted. It's got good sound design. Beautiful playfield. This is one that families love, kids of all ages and people my age all love fish. Well, I don't know if everyone loves fishtails, but I certainly love fishtails, and every time I can see one on location. Another game I love to play, and a great water-themed pinball machine. Okay, drum roll. Moving on to the number 1 water-themed pinball machine. What will it be? It's one of my favorite pinball machines of all time. We're talking Williams Whitewater. Of course, the Nordman. Dennis Nordman designed this. This probably has my favorite ramp in all pinball, the Insanity Falls ramp, that giant plastic ramp on the left side of the playfield. You hit the ball with the upper playfield flipper, and you go into Insanity Falls, and you take a ride, and it's a pinball moment. It's got that Bigfoot mech up top. It's got all those sculpted caves and boulders. I mean, it's overused. It's kind of cliche in pinball to say it world under glass, but Whitewater truly is a world under glass, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that there's rumors that we're getting some more remakes coming possibly from Pedretti, and if so, I'm hoping Whitewater is on that list, because I want myself a Whitewater remake. I'd insta-buy that. Make it happen, please. Whitewater, so good. All right, before we move on, let's do some honorable mentions, because as I said, there's a lot of water-themed pinball machines that are a lot of fun, quality stuff here. Hook, I mean, come on. Great theme, loaded with mechs, love it. Sea Witch, classic. Waterworld, Baywatch, and Surfin' Safari. So let me know, guys, what are your top 5 water-themed pinball machines? I'd love to hear it. This transition right into radical reading, where each week I will pick a different arcade or pinball machine flyer, a retro flyer, and read it to you. And this week we're looking at the classic arcade machine, Toobin. It says Toobin. It's totally tubular. Super fun inner tube race theme is a first of its kind. 1 or 2 player simultaneous action with buy-in anytime feature. Too cool animation keeps dudes and dates loving it. Jam to original tunes for the most happening sounds and music. New laid-back style cabinet warps players to the 21st century. Wow! On the most hip attract panel of any game. Toobin is a first of its kind game. It's totally tubular. But you don't have to be a rad dude or dudette to get off on the action. Oh my. This game is just way fun to play. Check it out as Biff and Jet cruise the baddest rivers in the world and out of this world. These party animals are in search of the most outrageous party they can find. Globetrot with the tube dudes as they cruise to places your travel agent doesn't even know about. Scope out the rivers of the Amazon, Yukon, Nile, Rio Grande, and the Colorado, just to name a few. Tubers who prove they are truly world-class material can win a free Toobin t-shirt. See game for details. And then you have the Atari logo. On this flyer here, you have the cabinet art for Toobin, which I love. One of the great marquees in all of arcade machine history. And then you have a waterfall that has bears, and you have a guy in of course, a tube. You've got penguins. You've got some ancient ruins, pyramids, camels, mountains, a tiger, elephants, all kinds of stuff. And then you have some screenshots in the bottom left here, and it says, "Jump in with the tube dudes, the water's fine." And then the next one says, "Pick up and throw cans to clear out obstacles and pests." And the third one says, "Two-player action doubles the fun." And then this is a two-sided flyer. On the back, reverse side, you have some water. You have both the main characters from the game and their inner tube. Looks like they're in an island setting. You have a crocodile on the bottom right, and then you have some more text. It says, "Biff and Jet, they're too cool. These dudes are always in the mood to party. They don't let anything burn them out. They toss cans at anything that bends them out of shape or gets them torqued. Armed with tin cans they pick up in the rivers, the dudes waste any creeps that get in the way of having a good time. Stuff like sticks, branches, and stupid logs that can pop a tube. And those creekside geeks like street punks, free casting fishermen, swamp monsters, and kamikaze penguins are really the pits. These tubers score awesome gratuities for swishing gates. Doing it increase the score multiplier and awards mega points. Really hot tubers can breeze by the competition this way. Pro tubers can use the special warp feature to advance up to Class 3 water for the ultimate challenge. Every well-dressed tuber and tubette will want to be seen wearing their Way Too Bad Toobin t-shirt, only available by winning the built-in contest. So all of you tubers, paddle to the nearest phone and call your Atari distributor today. This cabinet is 25.25 inches in width, 72 inches in height, 34.75 inches in depth, and weighs 270 pounds. And then you have 5 screenshots on the back here. The first one says, "Swish gates to increase the score multiplier." The next one says, "The big gator discourages slow tubers." Colorful graphics take players to wild worlds of imagination. A variety of white water challenges even the raddest of tubers. It challenges even the raddest of tubers, it says. And then the last one, complete the contest and go partying with a Too Cool prize. And that is the Toobin Flyer Classic, and it's totally radical. All right, it's that time of the episode where I chronicle my journey of arcade ownership and share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly in the quest to open a brick and mortar arcade in my small Oregon town. No punches are going to be pulled, no stone unturned. Full transparency. This is an honest assessment of what I've done thus far and what I plan to do moving forward. Let's start with the arcade audit. I keep detailed books of all the purchases I make and all the machines I buy, of course, which I think any small business owner needs to do. As of filming this episode, I have spent $31,713 on my business, Quarter Drop Amusements LLC. I own 25 coin-operated machines plus signage, redemption prizes, miscellaneous items I'll need to open the doors, and I have $0 in debt, and I have $218.86 in my business savings account. I know, not much in my savings account at the moment. That's because I'm spending all my money on buying machines. I'm going to pivot here probably this summer into more aggressively saving and buying less machines. So that's the plan, at least. The timeline, if all goes to plan, I hope to open in late spring or early summer of 2026, so 2 years from now. I started pursuing this goal in July of 2023. This is a lifelong dream of mine. I grew up going to arcades, of course, as I'm sure a lot of you did. I remember what they were like back in the day, where you actually dropped the quarters in and you got the tickets and you played the games, and it was just a true arcade experience, and you don't see that very often. So that's what I'm emulating, thus the name Quarter Drop. It's important to me to try to emulate the authentic arcade experience as much as possible, and create a positive space for everyone that visits. So that is the goal. The most recent purchase that I made was a Tractor Time by OK Manufacturing. This was a Facebook Marketplace pickup. It was listed at $400 OBO. I messaged the guy. I said, how about $300? He said, sure, no problem. And why don't you come get it? Now, this was like at 9 o'clock at night, and it's about half an hour away. I was like, well, I'll come tomorrow and get it. And this was a little sketchy. I'd say it wasn't too bad, but he said, well, I don't know if it's still going to be available then. I'm taking offers on it. We'll see, I said, oh, okay, well, let me know. And if someone offers more for it, certainly let me know, because I would like to have this in my arcade. And he said, okay, well, meet me tomorrow at noon after I get off work. So I went ahead, and the next day, around 11 o'clock, I hopped into the truck to go to the ATM, and he messaged me on Facebook and said that he had an offer for $340, and did I want to match it? So was he being honest? We'll never know, I guess, because he could certainly have just said that. I like to think he was. He seemed like a pretty straight up kind of guy. So I said, no problem, I'll match that. I went to the ATM, got the $340, hopped in my truck, and drove a half an hour away to meet up with him. And he actually had, at one point, 3 Tractor Times. I'm not sure what the story behind that was. I should have asked. This was the last one that he had for sale. Apparently they sold very quick. I don't know if that's a desirable machine, or the price was right, or what it was, but he sold them within, I guess, 48 hours. And I got the last one, and we loaded up in my truck. I brought it home, and what did I have to do to it? Okay, so all the decals that come on Tractor Time, like there's a control panel, and there's gauges and like RPM and oil pressure gauges. They're just decals. Those were all missing. So I went ahead and in Photoshop designed my own decals, printed them out on sticker paper, and put those on the control panel, and it looks great. I mean, you would never know if they were reproduction, unless you were a Tractor Time historian or something. It looks great. It was set to free play, so someone had wired up a button down where the coin mechanism was to credit up, and I removed that. I got a coin mechanism. I ordered it from Game Room Guys on eBay. It was a whole rebuild kit. It was $99.99. Those are really getting expensive these days. And I wired that all up, hooked it up, and it works like a charm. So now you can use quarters, of course, to play it, and it costs 50 cents to play. And then I loaded up the bin. So the way this machine works is there's a big yellow tractor, and it goes left and right. You put in your credits, it powers up, the sound effects come on, the tractor moves left and right, and when you press the dig button, the tractor arm descends into the pit, picks up an item, goes to the chute, drops it. There's a little optical sensor in that chute, and if it detects something, the game's over. If not, you have 3 tries to get an item. So I like the way that works. So if you don't get something on the first try, you can certainly get something, I imagine, after 3 tries. Now, the way I have it set up is I took all my redemption tickets, and this took a long time. This was quite the project. I individually broke apart all those redemption tickets, thousands of them. How many did I do? I did like 18,000 redemption tickets, and loaded up this bin with like 18,000 individual redemption tickets, so the tractor can pick up the tickets and drop them in the chute. But then to make it even more fun, I got these little treasure chests on Amazon, and they're little plastic treasure chests. And when you open it up, I have custom decals that I created that say, "You won this amount of tickets. So it can be anywhere from like 25 tickets to like 500 tickets. And I buried them within the tickets in there. So you could get just individual tickets, or you can get a treasure chest that's worth, up to 500 tickets, and then you take that up, of course, to the prize counter. And it looks really cool, and I think it's going to be a fun item for the kids. So for $340, the newest addition to the arcade is Tractor Time by OK Manufacturing. Let's talk about a wish list item. Each episode, I want to highlight one item on my arcade wish list. And this one that I'm going to talk about is essential to me. It will happen at some point. It's just a matter of when, because this machine is very expensive. I'm talking about Zoltar. Do you guys know what Zoltar is? The fortune teller from the movie Big with Tom Hanks. I grew up loving this movie. Used to watch it over and over again, and I was always very enamored by the Zoltar machine. And when I realized that they are still making these, I thought, yeah, a Zoltar machine has to happen. I've actually thought about buying one for the house even before I was thinking about opening an arcade. Now that I am for sure going to be opening an arcade, I have to have a Zoltar in there. So they come in different trims. You can get the standard version that's about $7,000. You can get a deluxe version that's about $10,000. And then they have, you can go up from there. They have like a carnival trim that's like 12, I think that's correct. And the one that I would like to get is the $10,000 one, the deluxe one, because it has the movement. So Zoltar is in the behind the glass. He moves his hands, his eyes and head move. He talks. There's a crystal ball. The player comes up. They put their money into Zoltar, and then he tells the fortune, and a little fortune card comes out of the machine. I think that's going to be a real showpiece for the arcade, and I love quirky stuff like that. It's not, for me, it's like, it's a combination of having like the classics, of course, like the Pac-Mans and stuff and the Galaga, and then the more modern stuff, because there's going to be people that want to play those. And then there's the quirky stuff, the Zoltars and the oh gosh, what do I have? The stress tester and the love meters and the claw machines, and it's a whole package to create an arcade atmosphere. And I hope to one day have a Zoltar. Let's move on to the next item on my to-do list in the arcade. So I want to highlight something that I plan to do soon here, each audit, each Arcade Chronicle episode. And I think something that I need to prioritize at this point is selling my Bally Gold Rush pinball machine. I have a 1967 Bally Gold Rush EM, and the sad reality of that is I don't think it has a home in my arcade. It's taking up a valuable real estate out here in my garage because I am filming from my garage, as I've mentioned, and I have all my arcade machines here, and I have to maximize space and get the best machines for opening day. And I don't want to rent a storage unit and spend hundreds of dollars every month on that for the next 2 years. That sounds less than ideal. The Bally Gold Rush I picked up for $400. And it's really cool. It's got an animated back glass. It's in good shape for its age. But as handy as I am working on solid state stuff and computer-based arcade machines and PCBs and things like that, I am out of my depths when it comes to working on EM pinball machines. This machine doesn't even work. I've tried to fix it. I'm pretty sure it's something with the hold relay. I have tried and spent hours and hours trying to fix it. And I have been unsuccessful, and I've been unsuccessful finding anyone locally that can help me fix it as well. So I think I'm going to have to move it on, sell it probably for what I paid for it. If I can get 400 bucks out of it, then that's good. It's worth about eight something. I think it's worth $850 on Pinside. So I'll sell it from, half price more or less, and move it on, and then I'll have another slot in my pinball row. I have the Godzilla Premium. The Jaws Pro is on pre-order. I have the Circa 1933 Cocktail, and then I have room for another machine. Probably going to get another Stern, maybe a Mandalorian or a Bond, or I'll hold out and wait for something else because there's a lot of rumors of Pokemon, Matrix, and there's a lot of rumors out there, so I may hold out and see what's next. But that is the next item on the to-do: sell the Bally Gold Rush. Let's talk about a fear that I have when it comes to opening this arcade and undertaking being a small business owner. This is all new to me. I've had a steady 9 to 5 job for for just about ever, and this is throwing some chaos into the equation. I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it. I want it to succeed. I want to change, but it's scary and I have fears, which is natural. So I'm going to highlight some of that. So maybe there's some of you out there that are doing something similar, or you already have done this, and maybe you can relate to that. And I just want to, this is the name of the podcast, Arcade Chronicles, and I want to chronicle this, and I want to be honest about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And some of that is fears that I may have. And a fear that I have, and this is a strong one, is I'll put all this passion, years and years of hard work, money, savings, all this into this arcade and create this incredible space, and no one will show up, and I'll have an empty arcade. And I'll be open for a year and there just won't be people that come. That's a genuine fear that I have. The town I live in there's about 12,000 people that live here. It's not a big town. I think there's enough to sustain a small, this is not going to be a huge arcade. This is going to be a small arcade. And there's nothing like this locally. So I like to think that there's enough people here that they would show up, they would play pinball, they would do tournaments, they would have fun, and they would do date nights or go out and hang out with their friends or families. And that's certainly my wish. But a big fear that I have is that I'm going to do this and no one will show up. I'm going to go off that old adage: if you build it, they will come. that's kind of my hope. But also, I'm going to put in the effort ahead of all this and market it, social media, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. But it is a possibility, and that's just reality. A wish that I have, well, along with the opposite of, I would say, a fear, I have a lot of wishes for this space. And a big one for me is seeing families come in and enjoying the arcade together. So if they come in and you have multi-generational families, you have the kids, the adults, they're coming in and they're all having fun, it's all worth it then. Mission accomplished if I can see that and people are having a good time in my arcade space. So that is certainly a big wish that I have. Let's talk about some mistakes that I've made, and I think this segues good from the next item on my to-do list, which was sell my Bally Gold Rush. I certainly have made some mistakes, and I would say buying that Bally Gold Rush was one of them. I bought that for $400. I thought that was going to go into the arcade. Don't know anything about electromechanical pinball machines, and frankly, I don't think that's really a good fit for my particular arcade. I mean, people may play it, but I think if I could go back in time, I would not have purchased that Bally Gold Rush. So that certainly was a mistake that cost me about $400. Now, hopefully I can recoup that and it won't be too bad. But it's been taking up space and I've spent so much time working on it that, you know what though? If I were to flip the coin on that, I have learned a lot about electromechanical pinball machines. Not enough to fix it, apparently, but I have learned quite a bit about how they work and the different relays and the banana plugs and how to clean them and yada, yada, yada. So it's been an experience, let's just say that. All right, let's talk about a design element of the arcade. I want to highlight each week a different, one of the little micro details when it comes to designing an arcade space, because this is something that I care about. For people that, I don't think anyone would be aware, of course, but I've spent many years working in the graphic design industry. I was the creative director in the newspaper industry for a long time. And I've always been interested in design. And I have a game room in my house that I've spent many years kind of fine-tuning and perfecting. So all this kind of culminates in me wanting to create a really cool arcade space where it's not just a bunch of machines thrown in a room. It's actually a curated space, and little touches make all the difference in the world. And so I'm gonna highlight one each week. And this week I want to talk about the Mars Attack animatronic that I bought. So I want to have some pieces that people come in and they don't expect to see. And right off the bat on my wish list was an animatronic of some sort. So I scoured the internet looking for either like life-size statues or actual animatronics, and they are all over the map as far as price and availability. You can get the Halloween animatronics from like Spirit Halloween fairly affordably, but they're all too scary and don't fit in an arcade setting for the most part. And then you have kind of like some of the cooler life-size statues, like there was Terminators and like giant Hulk statues, but those are all so expensive that it was cost prohibitive. And but then I finally found one. It is from Spirit Halloween. It's an animatronic. It actually came out 2023 for the Halloween season, and it's Mars Attacks. It was a limited edition, and it sold out immediately. And then on the secondhand market on eBay, they were selling for like $700 to $1,000 for a animatronic that sold for $399.99 from Spirit Halloween not that long ago. But I kind of kept tabs on it, and I lucked out, and I was able to snipe an auction. I paid $360 for my Mars Attacks animatronics, and I love it. It's so cool. It makes sci-fi noises. It shoots mist out of the gun. It lights up. The head moves. It's 6.5 feet tall, and it's going to look great in the arcade. So I couldn't be happier. So let's talk about how you can help support this dream of mine. And I think the best way currently for you to do that is to help me out on the social media front by following and engaging with my various social media accounts, because I'm building them all up from scratch. Now, I have had YouTube channels. I have a retro gaming YouTube channel that has over 5,000 subscribers. I've been streaming on Twitch for years, and I've built all that up. But I'm having to create some new accounts for the arcade and build those up from the ground floor. And anyone that's done that knows it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. So if you wanted to help me out, you can go over there and follow me on my various different social medias and help engage with that content. That would mean a lot to me. You can rate this podcast on Spotify. You can follow me over on Twitch at COE33 for our live arcade and pinball streams. You can check out the content on Instagram and TikTok. You can join the community Discord, the Dragon's Lair, to engage with other arcade enthusiasts. All these links and more can be found on my website, www.quarterdroparcade.com. That's www.quarterdroparcade.com. Thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it. And with that down, guys, that is the first episode. Check of Arcade Chronicles. It's in the history books. Stay tuned for fresh episodes every Sunday on Spotify, and check out the video version on Twitch. Thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, live every day like you're going for a new high score.